The 3 questions. A kind-hearted, thoughtful king always wanted to accomplish his kingly obligations flawlessly. It once occurred to him that if he always knew the right time to begin everything, if he knew who were the right people to listen to and whom to avoid, and above all, if he always knew what was the most important thing to do, he would never fail in anything he might undertake. And this thought having occurred to him, he had it proclaimed throughout his kingdom that he would give a great reward to anyone who would tell him what was the right time for every action, and who were the most necessary people, and how he might know what was the most important thing to do. Learned men came to the king. In reply to the first question, some said one must draw up in advance a table of days, months and years, and must live strictly according to it to select the right time for every action. Others declared that it was impossible to decide in advance the right time for every action, but one should always attend to all that was going on and then do what was most needful. Others said that, despite being attentive to what was going on, it was impossible for one man to decide correctly the right time for every action. A council of wise men can guide the king the right time for every action. But then again, others said there were some things which could not wait to be laid before a council. But to decide that, one must know beforehand what was going to happen. It is only magicians who know that, and therefore, in order to know the right time for every action, one must consult magicians. Equally various were the answers to the second question. Some said the people the king most needed were his counselors. Some said the priests. Others said the doctors. Some of them said the warriors were the most necessary. To the third question as to what was the most important occupation, some replied that the most important thing in the world was science. Others said it was skill in warfare, and others pointed out it was religious worship. All the answers being different, the king agreed with none of them and gave the reward to none. But still, wishing to find the right answers to his questions, he decided to consult a hermit, widely renowned for his wisdom. The hermit lived in a wooden cottage in a wood, and he received none but common folk. It was unthinkable to the king before a few days that he could ignore his grandness and glory so easily to embrace the simplicity and wisdom of life. But that happened as the king dismounted from his horse and went alone to meet the wise hermit in simple clothes. When the king approached, the hermit was digging earth in front of his hut. Seeing the king, he greeted him and went on digging. The hermit was frail and weak, and breathed heavily each time he struck his spade into the ground. The king went up to him and said,
"I have come to you, wise hermit. Please help me to find the answers to the 3 questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I most need? And whom should I, therefore, pay more attention to than to the rest? And what affairs are the most important and need my first attention?"
The hermit listened to the king but answered nothing. An overwhelming experience amazed the king's mind.
"You are tired,"
said the king.
"Let me take the spade and work for you." "Thanks."
The hermit sat down on the ground. The king took the spade in his hands and started digging for the first time. After digging the 2 beds, the king repeated his questions. The hermit again gave no answer, but rose, stretched out his hand for the spade, and said,
"Now rest a while, and let me work a bit."
But the king did not give him the spade, and continued to dig. 1 hour passed, and another. The sun began to sink behind the trees, and the king at last struck the spade into the ground and said,
"I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me none, tell me so, and I will return home." "Here comes someone running,"
said the hermit.
"Let us see who it is."
The king turned round and saw a bearded man come running out of the wood. The man held his hands pressed against his stomach, and blood was flowing from under them. When he reached the king, he fell fainting on the ground, moaning feebly. The king and the hermit unfastened the man's clothing. The king washed his wound and bandaged it with his handkerchief and with a towel the hermit had. It was difficult to cease the blood flowing. Several bandages were used. The king gave him fresh water. Then he laid the wounded man on the bed. In the morning, the king wondered when the bearded man, who was wounded last afternoon, spoke to him.
"Forgive me. I do not know you, and have nothing to forgive you for,"
said the king.
"You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours, who swore to revenge himself on you, because you executed his brother and seized his property. I knew you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back, but the day passed, and you did not return. So I came out from my ambush to find you. I escaped from your bodyguards, but they wounded me. I could have bled to death had you not dressed my wounds. You have saved my life. I would like to serve you as your most faithful slave, and will bid my sons do the same. Forgive me."
The king was very glad to have made peace with his enemy so easily. He assured him that he would send his servants and his own physician to attend to take care of him, and promised to restore his property. Then the king went out into the porch and looked around for the hermit. The hermit was outside, on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king said,
"For the last time, I pray you to answer my questions, wise man." "You have already been answered,"
said the hermit.
"If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday, and had not dug these beds for me, but had gone your way, that man would have attacked you, and you would have repented for not having stayed with me. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds, and I was the most important man, and to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, when that man ran to us, the most important time was when you were tending upon him, for if you had not dressed his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. Hence, taking care of the wounded man was the most important business."
Remember then, the most important time is only now, and it is the most important because it is the only time we have power over ourselves. And the most important person is with whom you are now, for no one can know whether or not he will ever have a deal with any other person. And the most important pursuit is to do good to him, since it is for that purpose alone that man is sent into this life.